Welcome back to another episode of the Authentic Man podcast. I'm your host, David Chambers. I'm a men's dating, relationship, and intimacy coach. And I do a lot of work with men around their capacity to relate both to themselves, their self-relationship, and the relationship to the women that they meet and date and in relationship with. And today I'm going to talk about something that comes up probably the one of the most common things, this and confidence, which they're all kind of intertwined, right? Self-esteem, self-worth, and self-confidence are all really intertwined. So I'm going to talk about what I see as the things that hurt our confidence, really destroy our self-worth and self-esteem, and what builds and enhances our self-worth and self-esteem. Because I've worked with men for, technically I've worked with men for over a decade around confidence and building confidence. And I think confidence is, and I keep saying confidence, not self-esteem and self-worth. There is a subtle difference. I'm not going to go into the details of that. I guess self-esteem is how we view ourselves, how well we view ourselves. Confidence is about our capacity to do things. And our self-worth is how we value ourselves, right? And they're all very closely linked. Very, very closely linked, in my opinion, from what I've seen of working with men and even in my own self. Something as simple as, I'll say this before I jump in, is today I woke up, I didn't want to record this episode. I almost didn't. I was like, I can't be bothered, I'm tired. It's been a long week, it's been a hard week. And I was like, well, no, I'm going to do this. And that's part of my kind of self-worth and self-esteem work, is like, I say to myself, yeah, I stick to my commitments. And that's something I'll touch on later on. But let's talk about what hurts our self-esteem and self-confidence. I'm going to say 13 things. There might be more. I've got some things down here and I'll probably add to them as I keep talking. Constant self-criticism is the first one. When we are constantly criticizing ourselves, right, we destroy our self-esteem and self-worth, right? When we take criticism and we take feedback personally to mean that there is something wrong with us, instead of we have done something that's, i.e., not good, bad, incorrect, or a mistake, we start to destroy our self-worth and self-esteem. It's really simple. It's one of the most common things. The constant self-criticism, the way we talk to ourselves, the way we take on people's feedback and information from others, and it really hurts our kind of internal compass about ourselves, our value, and the way we view ourselves. Another is unrealistic expectations and perfectionism. Right, and then I'll couple this with trying to live by other people's expectations. These things really, there's a wonderful cocktail here to really destroy your self-esteem and self-worth, is we set these unattainable high standards and expectations for ourselves, and often not other people, and then strive to hit them, and we don't, and then we tell ourselves that we are in fact defective, there's something wrong with us, and we have less value than other people. And I see this with a lot of men, actually. They set themselves really high standards. I see this with especially the very high performing men. I work with the men who are, running companies, running big businesses, or are athletes and so forth, as they have these very high expectations of near perfection. Sometimes it's just writing an Instagram post, sometimes it's writing a LinkedIn post, and sometimes it is about the growth of their business or their endeavors. And it really hurts us, because we're always constantly then being like, I'm not good enough. And that hurts our self-esteem and self-worth. Comparison is next on the list. Comparison is so easy to do now. We can look at other people. We can look at, especially when we take in social media, you can look at my life on social media and be like, wow, look at David's life. He's got his wonderful girlfriend. They're having a baby. They're doing all these amazing things. They live in these amazing countries. And we forget that we're only seeing 1%, if not less than that. I'd love to do an Instagram live where I just took you around my life for a whole day, to just see how mundane and boring and regular and so forth my life is, because it is, and everyone's life is that way to some degree. But we compare ourselves, especially through social media or our imagination of what other people are doing, and we make ourselves inadequate. And this has a real effect. We always look at other people. We look at their car, we look at their house, we look at their partner, we look at their relationship, and we always put ourselves second to them, right? Comparison. Internalizing failure. This is a really important one, because failure is a part of life. Failure and recommitment, as Mr. John Manin said to us, I say us, me and a group of men, when we did a program with him last year, he said this, he's like, you're going to fail, and the job of the masculine man, the modern man, is failure and recommitting. And one of the things we do a lot is we internalize failure. We get something wrong, we fail at something, say you don't get your job, or you don't get that client, or you don't get that date, right? Or the woman dumps you, or whatever it may be. And we internalize the failure to mean, again, we're back to, again, the same story of there's something wrong with me, that I have less value than other people are better than me, and so forth. And this really, again, it really just chips away at this self-worth, this self-esteem. You're probably seeing a little bit of a theme here, right? Another one is negative self-talk and beliefs, right? We have these kind of internal beliefs. I do a lot of work with my clients around beliefs because we have a lot of unconscious beliefs about ourselves, whether it's about money, whether it's about women, whether it's about our ability, whether it's about our lovability, right? And those beliefs influence our self-talk, and our self-talk influences our actions and the things that we say out loud to people in the world. And it sounds so simple when I say it like that, but I tell you, if you can shift your beliefs, and this is not easy work, I've worked with people for a year to do this for them, and I've seen radical changes in their lives when we do this. The radical change in the way they relate, the radical changes the way that their self-esteem and confidence is, right? But it's really important to do the work on our beliefs. Really, really important. I'm continuously doing this. This isn't something I ever really stopped doing for myself. Another way that we really damage our self-esteem and self-worth is through unhealthy relationships. And that can be relationships with other people, right? Family, friends, lovers, partners. But it also can be with things like food, drugs, even exercise, right? An unhealthy relationship where that thing is controlling us, right? Or that thing is toxic for us and we keep doing it. Yeah. So maybe we have a family member that we know is horrible to us, but we keep spending time with them. Or we have a lover that's in the same thing, right? Or you do loads of drugs. You're doing loads of cocaine, for instance, right? Let's just name them, right? You're doing loads of cocaine. You know it's not good for you, and then you wake up in the morning, you feel shit about yourself, right? I've had a lot of clients come to me in that kind of spiral, and I get it because I've lived. Or it's food, where we eat bad food and then we feel bad about ourselves and then we berate ourselves and so forth. We're back into the negative self-talk as well, right? It's really important that we sort out these relationships. Another one is not looking after our health and fitness. It's a really simple thing we can all do, is looking after health and fitness. And it's simple, but it's not necessarily easy. But it's one of the ways in which we do have our self-esteem and self-worth, is why we don't look after our bodies, right? We don't look after our bodies in the myriad of ways, right? That can be, like I said, health, fitness, nutrition. It can be by the way we dress and groom ourselves as well, right? That's another way where we are telling ourselves that we are not worthy of nice clothes or clean clothes, or combing our hair, or looking after our beard, or whatever it may be, right? It's really important. These things, they do damage our self-esteem. Fear of failure. Fear of failure is a really interesting one, right? Because I think fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of judgment, these are the fears that are really common in the work I do with men around relationships and dating. And these ones really paralyze us, right? And stop us from taking action. And it's not taking the action and continually seeing ourselves failing, right, at actions, and then internalizing that, right? And that's how that really damages our self-esteem and self-worth, right? The failure, the judgment, and the rejection is succumbing to the fear of it by not taking action and not doing the things we want, or not saying the things we want to do, whether that is in the business sense, in a work sense, career, whether that is with women, whether that is with our health. And I've worked with a lot of men who exactly this. They come and they're like, I'm so petrified of all of these fears. I'm not doing anything with my life. I'm not moving forward in my relationship, or I'm not forward in dating, and I feel terrible about myself, and we have to work to build that up. And it's actually can be remarkably fast, actually, if someone is committed. And that's probably another one, actually, that hurts our self-esteem and self-worth. A lack of commitment, a lack of being our word to ourselves and to other people. So when we continually let ourselves down, we say we're going to do something, we don't do it, and then we destroy our self-esteem and self-worth by doing that. We really do. Not being your word is a very consistent one I see. Oh, I'm going to go to the gym today. You don't go to the gym. I'm going to go for a run. I don't go for a run. Oh, I'm going to start learning that thing. I'm going to read this book. A lack of accountability to self, right? Very damaging, because you're continually telling yourself, by not taking these actions, not doing these things, that you are not worthy, right? You tell yourself that through the action, because if you were worthy, you would do it. That's what your brain internalizes. That's what your mind, your subconscious is taking in from those sorts of behaviors. Another thing, again, destroys our self-esteem and self-worth. I wish I could have a better phrase for those two things. Is a lack of goals, not setting goals. Just drifting through life, observing other people setting goals and hitting goals and smashing their lives and doing the things they want, and just not setting any goals. And this can be from a fear of failure often. It can be from a lack of accountability, or just not having anyone in our lives to help us do that. Another one is not taking any risks, playing life safe all the time, not expanding the comfort zone. And what happens when we do this is we continually are not pushing the comfort zone. So what ends up happening is our comfort zone starts to shrink, because we don't even go to the edges of our comfort zone. So before you know it, your life becomes smaller, the things you do become smaller, your confidence, your self-esteem just gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and it's, it could be the point where you barely leave your house other than going to work and a few simple things that you do with your life for fear of, coming across something uncomfortable. And that's also another one that's really bad for our self-esteem, is not doing anything that makes us feel uncomfortable, avoiding any uncomfortability as well, right? Because that's a natural part of how we grow, is through uncomfortable experiences where we learn to have to think on our feet and do new and inventive things. Something else I see a lot is a lack of acknowledgement of our achievements. I'm really guilty of this. This is something I'm really guilty of, I'll be really honest, where I see the things that I've done and I minimize them. And it really does hurt your self-esteem and self-worth, because you basically are removing the things that you see yourself as worthy for, things, and your character as well, right? Character is part of this, because it's who we are also that we must acknowledge that is valuable in who we are, our character traits, the way we are, and also the fact that as just being a human being, you are valuable and you are worthy. So it's important to remember that. Allowing yourself to be isolated and lonely. That's again, this one kind of gets compounded by the other ones as well. But when we feel disconnected from others, it's very hard for us to experience our own value and worth as well. And I see this for a lot of men. It's a lot of lonely and isolated men around in the world who don't know how to really form the connections they desire, and that also then compounds the feeling of self-esteem of worth, not being able to create the relationships they want, not being able to create the love, the connection, the dates, and so forth. And that happens at the completely isolated level, and it also hurts us when we are capable of dating and relating and so forth and getting into relationships, but we're not quite finding the partner, or we keep finding ourselves with narcissistic partners. I hate narcissistic stuff because there's just too much of it, people talking about in the world, but we're with partners that treat us badly, or we allow people to treat us badly. These are things that hurt our self-esteem and confidence. I keep saying confidence, don't I? Self-esteem and self-worth. Last one I'm going to say here is unresolved trauma. This is a really important part. We have to face some of the traumas we've experienced in life. You may be a man listening to this going, I don't need to go back to the past, blah, blah, blah. But the past is repeating on you. The past is repeating on you, and you're just unconscious of it. The feelings and emotions that stop you in life, that are hurting your self-esteem and self-worth. If you were to sit down with me or a therapist or something, I bet within an hour and a half, we could trace them all back to childhood experiences that you have left unresolved emotions and feelings in you. Yeah, so it's really important to do the work, whether that is therapy, and I'm actually quite an advocate of therapy, talk therapy, and I think it should be coupled with other sorts of work, including coaching or somatic work and so forth, other ways to clear through trauma, not just talk therapy, but other things as well. But talk therapy is really important because it can give us an understanding of what's occurred and how it's repeating in our lives. So what do we do to build it? I'm going to rattle through these. We'll only still take another. There's no rush, but I think these are important because building confidence and self-esteem and self-worth, as I said, all tired, are just the bread and butter, I think, of us men being powerful men in our lives. The first I'm going to say is it's going to be an odd one. Is realizing that the burden of life will never be over. I remember reading, I think it's David Daye's book, Where's the Superior Man? There's a part of us that wants things to be easy, and it won't be. And there must be an acceptance of that. Yeah, we want life to be easy, and it's not going to be easy. And I'm saying this also, like, I need to hear this today. I can tell, like, it's life isn't going to be easy. That's the way it is. And trying to make it easy will actually do harm to your own self-esteem and self-worth, right? It's something to remember. Pushing beyond your comfort zone is really important in whatever areas of life, whether that's work, like I said, work, relationships, financials, whether it be pushing past your comfort zone. For some of you, you might need help with many of these areas of life, and you might have been listening to my podcast for a while. So maybe you sending me an email is pushing past your comfort zone. And many men have done that. I've coached hundreds of men in the last few years, and that's where we've started out. So do the things that push past your comfort zone, because that's how you create change in your life. A really important part. Be your word to yourself and to others. If you say you're going to do something, like go to the gym, like tomorrow I'm going to go for a run, if you listen to this on the Sunday when it comes out, you can message me tomorrow. I'm going to go for a run. And I be my word to myself about things. It makes a huge difference. It makes a huge, huge difference. Do things that are meaningful with your time. It's so easy for us to be just fucking distracted on our phones, spending 2-3 hours in the morning just scrolling, especially on the weekend, and be like, what did I even do? I looked at a few bit of sports news. I looked at some news. I scrolled on Instagram or TikTok or wherever you scroll, and I did nothing meaningful. I could have got up. I could have tidied my house. I could have done some exercise. I could have cooked some beautiful, nourishing food, but we just waste our time. So doing meaningful things with your time. This does not mean that every minute of your day has to be meaningful. Sometimes you're going to spend 5-10 minutes scrolling, or you're going to rest. Rest is also meaningful as well. Another thing we have to remember to build our self-esteem and self-worth is not to attach our self-worth and our value to our ability to get women. And I use the word get because that's not so much do I see women as possessions, but just it's an easy term that most men understand. When hearing that, it's very easy for us men to attach our self-worth and value to our ability to be with women, to seduce women, to have sex with women, the number of women we sleep with, the number of women we can date. You must detach those two things. Trust me, I've been down that road. I have really been a long way down that road. And it leads to loneliness, isolation, emptiness, and performative behaviors as well. When you meet women, you have that feeling you have to perform just so you feel good. Another really important part about building and enhancing our self-esteem and self-worth is believing in your ability to change and transform. I cannot tell you the number of men who've come to me and they've believed that some aspect of their psyche and their psychology, whether that's their attachment style, how they communicate, their emotional capacity, their ability to lead, they believe it's fixed and that's just how it is. Even in their personality, they're like, oh, this is just who I am. Those are some of the biggest bullshit lies that we tell ourselves. This is not just how you are. Yeah, I was a cold, logical, sometimes very mean and cruel person at times in my life. Now I'm probably very empathetic and very kind and very thoughtful towards people. You can change. If your confidence and self-worth is low, you can change. By simply acknowledging that you can change, that can go a long way to creating the change you want. You have to take action, but the changes will come, right? That's a really important aspect, is believing in change, believing in better, as I can't remember what brand it was. I think it was Sky. That was their motto, and I think it's a great one. Another important part is pursuing continuous growth in our lives, like trying to grow, trying to lean into vulnerability, to lean into difficulty, to find out what our values are, to find out what our core truths are, and also acknowledge that those will change over time, right? Because it's really important for us to do those things to grow in our self-worth and self-esteem. Embracing challenge, I think that's part of what I said before about comfort zone, but it's a really important part, is like facing challenges in life, facing difficult things, whether that's emotionally difficult things, going to therapy, speaking to a coach, or speaking to your parents in a certain way. It's an important thing to do. There's a huge piece here next we're going to say is what will master your mindset. And this is not something that you will master in 5 weeks, right? This is a lifelong thing, and you probably will never completely master your mindset. Even the wonderful people we look up to, the Elon Musks, the Steve Jobs, the Alex Hormozis of the world, they haven't mastered it. They haven't. They still have chinks in their mindset armor. They know they do. And that's part of life. That's part of the continual challenge and growth, right? But it's a really important part to really start to get a grapple on your thinking, the way you talk to yourself, the way you assume things about yourself as well. Another thing is exercise. Physical fitness, looking after your body, goes a long way to build self-worth and self-esteem. It should not be the only way you do this, right? But it should definitely be one of the many strings in your bow. And this is something I think is really important. I learned this at a really young age. Just like feeling strong in your body, feeling capable with your body goes such a long way to feeling good in your body. And that goes a long way to feeling like worthiness in yourself. Another way, actually, I think, is learning about money. As men, I think a really important aspect for us is learning about money. That doesn't mean you have to be rich and wealthy. That just means, to me, that if you were to give in £100,000 in 6 months' time, you would understand how to financially invest that and make that into more money. There are so many books out there about how to invest, and so forth. And you wouldn't just go, I'm going to buy Bitcoin, because that's if you put 100 grand in Bitcoin, you might get really lucky. But I think a year ago, the Bitcoin price was like less than £20,000. Now it's up to 50, but you could have lost a huge amount in the past, right? I mean, it's diversification, it's understanding the flow of money in the world, it's understanding different types of asset classes and so forth, understanding wealth and money. You don't need to be wealthy to do that. Another thing is learning about how to be a better relationship person, how to date better, how to connect better with not just women, but also people in general, right? How to communicate better. These things go such a long way to us feeling better about ourselves. I think purpose is also a really important aspect. Having purpose and meaning in your life goes such a long way. I know I talked about doing meaningful things, but I also think finding purpose and meaning in your life, and that doesn't have to be your work. It could just be you coach a local football team, or you teach other people how to play chess, or someone was telling me about a guy who has an Instagram account, and all he does is show the very normal, mundane life that he lives, and he's got hundreds of thousands of followers or something like that. And it's not that I use that example, is that he's just documenting to the world a normal life. Maybe that's just his purpose, to just show normality to people, right? But that purpose will also change over time, is remembering that. I think an important thing for us men as well is an aspect of healthy masculinity, to see traditional masculinity as not the only way to be a man, because that opens up our horizons to who we can be and how we can see ourselves. So I think it's a very important aspect for us men to do that as well. I think we should explore our own somatic experience to build confidence. I mean, is that emotional intelligence, building more of your emotional intelligence and understanding of who you are, what you feel, why you feel what you feel. And let me let you into a bit of a spoiler. The feelings are not about what other people are doing to you. The feelings are about the stories you tell yourself about what other people are doing to you mean about you. That's a very, very important aspect there as well. Growing in our sexuality, and that means learning about sexuality and expressing our sexual nature, and becoming comfortable with that is another really, really valuable piece for you to grow in your esteem and self-worth. And the last two are going to be what I think are really important parts. Being compassionate with yourself, learning to talk compassionately to yourself is so important, because it's so easy to be an absolute asshole in our minds. This is and probably still is one of my hardest bits of work, the way I talk to myself. But I can see it, I can observe it, and I work on speaking to myself differently. But when we don't have that, it's really detrimental to our physical, our mental, our emotional abilities to thrive in life and feel good about who we are and our value to the world. And the last one I actually think is vital for you, is getting support. Whether that is going into like a group program, getting support from other men. I've seen men absolutely transform life from addiction to family. I mean, going from being in deep addiction to creating beautiful families. I've seen men go from absolute poverty into building wealth, and I've seen men go from struggle and isolation into, wonderful friendships and beautiful relationships with a support network around them, whether that is They're having men that they've met in group programs, whether that is mentors they've employed or coaches or therapists or all of the above. I actually believe that you kind of need a mix of all of them. None of the people you look up to, none of them have done it all alone. None of them have got there alone. They've all had mentors. They've all had people supporting them. You read any book by any famous, accomplished person, right? And they had people to support them. They had mentors around them. And it's really important that you also seek those out, because if you don't, moving from this place of where you are now, I'm assuming is, wanting to improve your self-worth and self-value, will be very difficult for you, right? And not all of them are going to cost you money. There's plenty of free stuff out there if you ask about it, right? There's plenty of free communities you can join. If you really want one-to-one, targeted stuff, then yeah, find a coach, find a therapist, someone like me. But there's a lot of stuff out there if you're willing to look for it, you're willing to ask about it. Okay, I've gone on far more longer than I expected to. If you've got value out of this, please share it with somebody. Please share it with somebody, or go on to iTunes or Spotify and review it. Give it 5 stars. Really useful to me, actually. It's not for vanity. It's really just so more people hear this podcast. And if you're someone and you really want to hone in on some of this work, one-to-one or in group, I'm still taking on 1 or 2 one-to-one clients before baby's born. And I'm going to have a group coming up in the not too distant future, which is going to be really, really, really rocket charged, because I'm really working on how to serve people more powerfully in group in a more kind of efficient but also cost-effective way. So if you're interested in those things, please do get in contact. All my details are in the show notes.